Welcome to Empty Nesters True Crime Podcast, where we explore chilling mysteries and dark secrets. With their nest now empty, Susan and Nancy have more time to uncover the truth and venture into the unknown. Let's step into the shadows together, shall we? Good evening. Welcome to week 2 of
the Empty Nester Podcast.
That's right, Empty Nesters and True Crime. Well, last week we heard from Nancy, and this week we have a story from me.
I'm so excited to hear your story, Susan. And we want to thank everybody for coming back this week and sharing some time with us.
For those of you who know us, know where we're from. Those of you who don't will know in just a minute. We live in North Carolina. So Nancy and I live in good old North Carolina.
We're Southerners now.
Yes, we live in Alamance County. And I thought it would be fun. I don't know how much true crime is fun, but I thought it would be interesting to start my story with one that's local to Alamance County.
Oh, okay. I'm very interested, Susan.
So the locals of Alamance County who have been born here, at least in the 70s, probably know of this person. But people who are new to the county may not. But Nancy, when I say the name Blanche, what comes to mind?
I'm thinking Golden Girls.
Yes. But we're going to talk about a Blanche today that is the only thing she has in common with Blanche Devereaux is men.
All right.
So I will be talking about Blanche Taylor Moore. Did you know Alamance County has its own Black Widow?
I did not, but I'm very intrigued, Susan.
Well, you're about to find out. Good old Blanche was born February 17th of 1933 in Concord, North Carolina. Her parents were Fawny Blanche Kaiser and Parker Davis Kaiser. Parker was an alcoholic and a womanizer. He actually abandoned his family for a younger woman and just left them. And he and Fawny did get divorced. But Blanche would later say that her father had sold her into prostitution to pay for his gambling debts. Blanche, she left her home early, which if that's what was going on, I don't blame Blanche for getting the heck out of there. And she would work in some different stores. And when Blanche was about, I think 7, 8, I could have that age wrong, they moved the family. Her family moved to Burlington, North Carolina. And then Blanche started working in department stores when she was a teenager. So she could afford to buy nice clothes. Blanche liked to look good. Blanche was a beautiful woman. She had the high cheekbones. She was curvy. Men liked Blanche. Blanche was a good look. It was like she had a sweetness about her that she could captivate men. She liked to have nice things, so Blanche went to work. And even though Blanche had a rift with her father, she ended up making amends with him. But in 1966, he died of what was said to be a heart attack. When Blanche was young, still, she married James Napoleon Taylor. And it's a little, every time I say Napoleon, I think of Napoleon ice cream. James was Blanche's first husband. They had 2 children together. They were girls. They had 2 daughters. But James was a little bit like Blanche's daddy.
Like the dad. Oh.
He liked to drink. But he had a heart attack, and it scared him. So he ended up straightening up and trying to do right by his family. But it was also said that he would also be abusive to Blanche. And one story I heard is that the kids were at the dinner table and he would be flicking pudding in Blanche's face.
Oh, goodness.
Grading her at dinner. And Blanche just took it. So in 1954, while Blanche was still married, she got a job at Kroger's.
Kroger's.
And in 1957, Blanche became the head cashier. Blanche held the highest position a woman could hold working for Kroger's at the time. She even had use of a company car, which was unheard of for a woman. But Blanche, people liked Blanche so much, men and women were very fond of Blanche, that even if a cashier didn't have anybody in their line and Blanche had this line, people would go wait in the line so Blanche could check them out. She was charming. Then Blanche started to sell Tupperware. Remember the 80s?
Tupperware. Yes.
I think
that's classy.
I sold Tupperware in the 90s. I mean, you had to have that That's a Bowl. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about, you knew you needed that That's a Bowl because you could freeze some margaritas in there and you were set to go for a party.
And we all have that yellow Tupperware strainer.
That's right.
Everybody had. I still have my mom's.
So, but Blanche wouldn't be going and doing Tupperware parties. She'd be going off and cheating on her husband, saying she was going to sell her Tupperware.
Blanche, I'm a little shocked.
Blanche, she had them in. So there was a time, one story, James, he come up to Kroger's in Burlington, and he was yelling at one of the managers if he was having sex with his wife. You having sex with my wife? And made a scene at Kroger's. But while working for Kroger's, one of the managers there, his name was Raymond Reed. He was a little bit younger than Blanche, and they began having an affair. Raymond was also married. He was married to Linda, and they had 2 sons, Ray Jr. and Stevie. And so they were having this affair, and Blanche was still married to James, but in 1973, James was real sick in the bed. And one of the daughters said, Mama, I think you need to take Daddy to the hospital. And she was like, no, he just has pneumonia. He'll be fine. Well, October 2nd, 1973, James Taylor dies, and it's ruled it's a heart attack. So he died in his bed, and Blanche didn't sleep with him that night, and the next morning she found him dead.
Ooh.
Then she calls while James has just died. The body's not even cold yet. She calls Raymond Reed to come to the house. And shortly after, she begins a full-blown relationship, open and out there with Raymond Reed. So, also at the time, while she is in this relationship with Raymond Reed, there is a manager at Kroger's. His name is Robert Hutton. He is just one of those managers that is the skirt chaser, chasing the women, trying to get all the women into bed and all this and that. Well, so Blanche is in the room with him. I think it's like a conference room or classroom, and there's she's up there getting something, and he's up there, and I think she had kind of maneuvered him into being up there alone with her. So there's women's uniforms there, and she says something to the effect, I bet you can't put those women's pants on. And he takes off his clothes, he puts on the pants. Blanche goes, takes all of his clothes, runs out the conference room, and leaves poor Robert nude.
Dang, Blanche.
Robert has to get an apron. Robert has to get an apron from the butcher section so he can go to his car, so at least he has something covering up his goods. Needless to say, Blanche runs to his attorney's office. She does a sexual harassment lawsuit, and she goes to sue Kroger's. She had quit Kroger's, but she sues Kroger's, and Robert Hutton loses his job He loses his job. Eventually, Kroger settles with Blanche for $275,000
Wow.
in the 80s.
Wow.
That's
a lot of money.
Especially in the 80s. And also, then Blanche's house catches on fire. Yes. And she said some pervert burnt down her house. She saw some pervert hanging out at her house, and he burnt down her house. She collected the insurance money.
Okay.
Then she moved into a mobile home. She settled down, she's doing her thing. Then the mobile home catches on fire. Guess what? It was the pervert. So Blanche collects the insurance.
She's getting some more money.
She sure is. That pervert, he was just burning down all of her homes. So the relationship with Raymond just starts to fizzle, as relationships do,
Mm-hmm.
I think Raymond, from everything I've read, he really, really loved Blanche and cared about Blanche, but it was just fizzling for Blanche. So Easter Sunday, Blanche goes to church at the Carolina United Church of Christ, Rural Alamance, and they have a new preacher. It's Reverend Dwight Moore. He's divorced, and he and Blanche began meeting for meals.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. But while they're doing the dating, she's still seeing Raymond Reed. And Raymond Reed, he gets very sick. And he ends up in the hospital. He started in that hospital. I think there was one in Greensboro. He got moved. He's in Forsyth County, Winston-Salem. Because Raymond actually lived in Kernersville. So he's in Winston-Salem in the hospital. Blanche is going to visit him every day. She's really made friends with the nurses. She will come with her Tupperware, and she will feed Raymond. She will feed him banana pudding. She will feed him...
Very sweet of her.
Yes. She took very good care of Raymond. She would feed him banana pudding. She would bring him peanut butter milkshakes. Thus, why this evening we are having peanut butter martinis.
All right, Susan. I was wondering where our drink was fitting into this. And these peanut butter martinis are amazing.
Well, Blanche asks Dwight, they have to conceal this relationship because she has to act like she cannot be around men, wants nothing to do with men, because she's in the middle of a Kroger lawsuit. Even though I told you how that ended. Kroger settled for that amount of money. So Dwight, he gets it, I get it. You want to win your lawsuit, all this and that. But she asked Dwight, she said, she has these pesky aunts and she needs to get rid of them. And would Dwight go purchase her some Auntie Ant? So he did. Auntie Ant has arsenic in it. So you know where I'm going.
I'm feeling this one, Susan.
So she's going and take it. She would go to the hospital to visit Raymond. And while she was there, she would take food, the banana pudding and different things like that. She knew how to get to these nurses. The way to the nurse's heart is through food, especially
through food.
Raymond was in the ICU. These nurses are on it 24 hours a day. They don't ever get a break because these are the most severe patients in the hospital. So she would bring them food, and then she would have her own little tub to feed Raymond. She would bring him sweet tea.
All the Southern favorites.
Exactly. And sweet. Very sweet. So Raymond first was thought to have a bad case of shingles. And then they diagnosed him with Guillain-Barré syndrome. Most people recover from Guillain-Barré syndrome, but they said he just had a really bad case. Well, they did a toxicology test for Raymond. it came back that he had high levels of arsenic.
Blanche.
The hospital lost those results. They were not known. They were shoved like way back in a folder. I read one thing that they said that Blanche would come in and she would read his file, so they don't know if she saw it and she hid it, or if it did just get stuck, because there were a lot of interns coming in and out of that. So we don't know.
A lot of hands on those papers.
But Blanche kept telling Dwight that she and Raymond were just friends, and Raymond was so ill and he didn't have anybody to take care of him. And so sometimes Dwight would drive Blanche to Winston-Salem, and that's
That's a little bit of a ways.
About an hour, not quite an hour, but almost, from Alamance County.
Mm-hmm.
But Dwight would take her. And she would tell Raymond's children, Ray Jr. and Stevie, that, oh no, stay away. Your dad, he's going to be just fine, and that and this. And she ended up having a lawyer come in and sign her as getting a third of all of Raymond's life insurance and all of his assets. And on October 6th of 1986, Raymond died. Blanche, at that time, takes Ray Jr. and Stevie to the bank. The lady at the bank says, "Oh, how's Ray doing?" And she says, "Oh, he's doing pretty good." He's dead.
He's dead.
She's cleaning out his banks.
Blanche.
Yep. So she cleaned him out. And they split the stuff 3 ways. But the boys later, in the book I read by Jim Schutz, Stevie had looked in his dad's safe, and his dad, one of the saddest things is the dad would buy coins, one for Ray Jr. and one for Stevie, and he would show them, but he was keeping them, and he said, "These are yours when I pass on," and half of that coin collection was gone.
Oh, that is sad.
Yeah. So they bury Ray, and after Blanche gets what money she wants, she never has any more contact with Ray Jr. or Stevie. That's it. She's done.
Done with them.
And they were together a long time. So in 1988, she marries Dwight. They get married. And he starts to feel really ill after he eats a chicken sandwich that Blanche bought him. He has they think it's intestines, something with his intestines. He has 2 intestinal surgeries. And she tells the hospital he was working with herbicides, and she thinks that he just touched his sandwich after spraying the herbicides, and that's what did it. So the hospital does test. Dwight has more arsenic in his body that the doctors have ever seen in a living human being.
Whew.
They had to change textbooks and papers after this, because Dwight, I think it was 20% or 20 times the amount of arsenic a body should have in it.
Dang.
So then come in the police, and they say to Dwight, you have arsenic, and they can track this arsenic, and they know somebody's feeding him arsenic in the hospital. So they put him in isolation, and Blanche is having a fit because she has a sitter every time she comes in to see her husband, and she can't feed him anything.
Right.
So the investigators say to Dwight, "Has anyone close to you just died on its unusual death recently?" Well, he tells them about, no, but my wife's friend, Raymond Reed, he passed away.
Oh no, I think we're connecting dots here, Susan.
Absolutely. So they exhumed Raymond Reed's body. And guess what? They find
Arsenic.
They exhume James Taylor's body.
Arsenic.
They exhume Isla Taylor, who we have not talked about, who is James' mother, and they find ingested arsenic. And Kaiser, her daddy, they exhume him arsenic.
Wow.
Yeah. So she gets charged with the murder of Raymond Reed and in attempted murder of Dwight. But the thing they go on trial for her is for the murder of Raymond Reed.
Raymond Reed.
So where Blanche, even her attorney, was concerned because she testifies in the court, and she tells when they're asking her questions, she says, "No, I never fed Dwight or Raymond while they were in the hospital. They were depressed and had suicidal thoughts."
Mm-hmm.
So right there, she's lying. The prosecutor knows she's lying. The prosecutor is done because she feels like she has won her case. And the Kaiser family and the Taylor family, they really wanted like this prosecutor to like eat Blanche alive, but she did not do that because she said later in an interview, "It's my job to win the case. And when I know the job is won, it's time for me to stop."
Oh.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she did. Jury comes out. They come back in a few hours later, and they do find her guilty of the murder of Raymond Reed.
Jury found her guilty.
Yes. During this time, there was a new district attorney because they tried her in Forsyth County. There was a new district attorney in Forsyth County, and he did not want to have a big trial for the other ones because Blanche was given the death penalty for the death of Raymond Reed.
She got the death penalty.
She is one of 2 women who have the death penalty in the state of North Carolina. Blanche has had 2 bouts of breast cancer. She has Parkinson's disease, and Blanche is still alive at 91 years old, the Women's Correctional Facility in Raleigh.
Wow, that's goodness, Susan. That is quite a story.
Blanche is still kicking.
Blanche is the woman. Very strong. Very.
She still denies that she poisoned anyone to this day. And one thing I didn't is there was like this homeless drug addict that was in love with Blanche who would write her letters.
Mm-hmm.
And he passed away. And then she tried to forge a letter that said he poisoned all these people. And she...
A little manipulative.
She mails the letter to her attorney in Alamance. And they think, "Oh, this guy's done this. We'll get you off, Blanche." And the prosecutor discovers that the envelopes that Blanche was using to write her family in prison, the same envelope that she mailed the letter to her attorney. She didn't even use it for an envelope. But a handwriting analysis came and said it speaks like Blanche. It was written by Blanche because the homeless man actually had very good grammar, but when he would write letters, but Blanche was she did not.
Right.
So I'm not even sure Blanche had a graduated from high school. I'm not sure that she had a high school education. I think she dropped out. So it was found that no, this letter was forged by Blanche.
Gee.
So she's had multiple appeals, and she's still she'll die in jail.
She's 91. Currently 91.
91.
Wow, that's quite a story.
It's
Blanche.
Little Blanche. Yeah. And the anti-ant, a bottle of anti-ant cost less than $2. And the thing, it's supposed to kill ants. So it had arsenic and sugar in it. So you could put that anti-ant in sweet tea.
Nobody knew.
You never knew. That's why she was putting it in like in banana pudding and like peanut butter milkshakes and things like that. Because no, none of the men were caught on to it.
And you had said in the hospital she brought 2 separate foods for the share and then for the one she was trying to kill off.
Could you imagine being one of those nurses knowing you ate Blanche's food?
I bet they're glad they picked the right one.
Yeah. And one thing they would say, she was a very religious woman, very religious. But like she would quote you scripture, and then she would have, like in the same sentence, she would get sexually vulgar with you. Yeah. Go figure. I don't know.
She had another side to her, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. I got into it deep, real deep. Jim Schute's book, The Preacher's Daughter, it was written in the 90s. So when you read the book or listen to it on Audible, you've got to know where this was written, because it makes Alamance County sound like a bunch of country bumpkins. It really does. Like, especially the attorneys and all of that. I mean, he just does. I'm like, I got a little offended by that. But then I had to think, this is the 90s. Stop it. You're here for the information. But what was neat was some of the different locations, because I can put the locations together. And one of them was like, I came home and asked my husband, I said, where the hell was Chadwick's? And he said, what are you talking about? I said, Chadwick's. It's a restaurant down there by the courthouse. Because, now we've got a place called the Verdict.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Passion and the soda shop.
Crab soda shop on the other side.
Yeah. So
other side.
He didn't know. He didn't know what I was talking about. He's a little younger than me anyway. But so I did find out where Chadwick's was.
Okay.
So Chadwick's ended up getting sold and became Carver's.
Okay.
Now, Carver's burned down.
Had the fire.
Yes. And then they built another. It became a bottle company that was called Beer Co. and now has changed. It's called Little Brother.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is where Chadwick's was. And apparently Chadwick's had some delicious food from local people who lived here at the time. I was not here yet.
And me neither.
Yes. They had wonderful food, and they had the most amazing salad bar. So I kind of was a little disappointed that I missed Chadwick's.
That we missed Chadwick's.
But I'm really grateful I did not get one of Blanche's banana puddings or milkshake.
Well, maybe we could have bought some Tupperware from her. She. Besides that, she seemed like a fun person.
Hey, can you give me some banana pudding and that bowl? But I also found, like, this woman, has she not been murdering men, which is what she was doing, well, apparently women too, because poor Isla, she could have been such a role model for women of the time. Single women, abused women. She went and got that job at Kroger's. Held that highest position, even though, she may have slept her way there, but she got there.
Yeah, she got there.
I just think that she could have just honed that in and done some good in the world, but Blanche did not make that choice. She chose.
She was looking for money, and she found a way to get it.
Yeah, but at the time, $275,000 is a lot of damn money. Why you gotta keep burning down your houses?
She wanted more and more, maybe.
Wasn't enough.
I don't know. Maybe we should take a trip up to Raleigh and see Blanche.
My mother-in-law asked me if I was going to do that. I said, hell no.
See, I told you to be in the car. I'll drive.
Now, some of the interviews I watched, that they had asked Blanche for an interview, and she
said no.
No.
But hey, she hasn't met us, Susan.
No, she hasn't.
I think we come across as good girlfriends. She might like to talk to us. That would be fun. But I'm with you. I don't think 91-year-old Blanche probably would give us a time of day, but it would be fun hearing her side of the story, right?
Well, I think it would be a lie, but I can tell the truth.
Maybe give us some recipes, minus the arsenic.
Yeah. Now, I did, So I talked to someone at that time who remembers that at the time. They've got a few years on me, so they would remember. And she said when that happened, all the stores, the anti-ant had to come off all the shelves. Like, we don't know how to sell anti-ant anymore. But I thought, this woman was killing men for this product that was less than $2 a bottle. Like, and has she not tried to kill, attempt to kill Reverend Moore?
That's when she got caught with.
She would have gone away with it.
Mm-hmm.
She just couldn't stop.
And you wonder where she got the idea to go get that product and put it in her baking goods. How'd she know to use that and knew that it clearly worked well for her?
I mean, it worked. Like there was a list of over 20 people that had passed away or been sick or had some kind of contact with Blanche that they looked at.
That they traced back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, right here in Alamance County.
I mean, they were just exhuming bodies all over the place. And in the book, he says, like, it was the Taylor clan. And I'm like, you mean the Taylor family? Well, I was like, you mean the family? But then I'm thinking, it was written in the 90s.
Yeah.
But it's pretty. The book goes into great, great detail. It goes into great detail about the prosecutor, the attorney, different locations in Alamance County. It even gives addresses, which I was like, but out of respect for whoever lives there, I didn't go that deep into my deep dive.
Mm-hmm. That's really neat, picking one that's so close to home for us, Susan.
I know. And at one point I thought, is this really being respectful of the families? But I mean, they made movies. The daughter did a snapped interview.
They put it out there.
I think there was, there's got to be some kind of, what happened to you that was so bad, which if what she says is true with her childhood.
With abuse.
Absolutely. But I do look at everyone that we know that she poisoned, except for Isla, were men who cheated on their wives. Because even Dwight Moore cheated on his wife. That's why they were divorced. He had a 16-year affair with his secretary at his church.
Interesting.
And that's how he, up north, and he ended up moving to North Carolina so he could have a fresh start. So, every one of them. So, I put that connection because Raymond Reed cheated on his wife with Blanche. Except for maybe James Taylor, but he was a lot like her dad, so I just kind of assumed. Maybe I shouldn't assume, but he was an alcoholic.
That's some good detective work, Susan. I think you're coming with something there.
So, yeah, I don't know. But on a positive note, Dwight, he survived.
He did. All that arsenic, he survived it.
He was left with tremors, and he had tremors. He ended up moving to Virginia, and he got remarried.
He did.
He did. He has since passed away, but he lived about 20 years after that happened to him. Yeah.
Wow.
And he loved to garden and read, and it seemed like the rest of his days were spent just living the good life.
Well,
and he had a little church that he was able to be a pastor.
He still continued the faith.
And someone had asked him if he wanted death to come to Blanche through like lethal injection or however. And he said no, he didn't wish Blanche any ill will. He did not want to be anywhere near Blanche, but he did not wish her
ill on her.
You could see he still actually cared for her.
Aw, that's sweet.
It was very sweet. It's a little scary to me because I'd be like, no, you keep that woman the hell away from me. But he, he practiced what he preached. He forgave. Right? I think he forgave her.
You knew that's what Christians are supposed to do?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to forgive her. But
yeah, me neither. We know how that goes with me. I hold a grudge forever.
But
But he's a good man. It sounds like he was a very good man.
Yes, it's a shame she just couldn't love him back like he deserved.
Just kept that one right there. He's probably a good one for her.
And she would have had a chunk of money.
Yeah.
She got away with other shenanigans.
See what happens when you get too greedy? She kept going and going.
Yeah. But she is.
That'd been fun to have Blanche still in the county. Think about it. She could have been a happening person here.
They said this county was very split. There were people who it was wildness in our little county. There were shirts made of Blanche with witches' hats on them. And people would wear them. And everybody was the talk of what was happening with Blanche that day. So, but then there was a part of the county that really thought Blanche was innocent and stood by her.
Okay.
But I mean, with the evidence.
Yeah, I don't think she was innocent.
Yeah. No. She's not innocent.
No.
She's very, very guilty. She's a serial killer. So Black Widow.
Serial killer, yeah?
Well, I mean, it's what a serial killer is. She's the definition of it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All for money. It seems like hers was a money trap.
I think it was a lot for money. But she was also a hard worker. It's crazy.
Whew, that was a good one. I never heard that one, especially being local. That's a fun one to hear today, Susan.
Well, I know you like to read, so you can borrow the book.
Absolutely.
And then you'll be like, Susan, you missed all of this.
No, I'm sure you did a great job on this one today. And your peanut butter margarita is fabulous.
This is a martini.
Okay. Somebody try it again. Your peanut.
She is cut off.
Might have had one too many martinis, you know. No, martini. It's delicious. The presentation is amazing. I already eaten my little candy in it.
Yeah, we're gonna do our Instagram should be up before this,
so they can all see this, right, Susan?
Yes, we will definitely give you the recipe. We will definitely put pictures of our cases and some little tidbit.
And I love this because then your friends and our friends can make this for their next party.
Right. I mean, it's very easy. Yeah. And we will take a picture of what used to be Chadwick's, which is now.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yes. I thought it was funny because on the Snapped series, it says Alamance County is a town that has more churches than bars. Just like, and we still do.
We still do.
So, but Chadwick's is now a little
brother bar.
So, yeah. So people, I mean, it's very different now than it was back then, but you can go and be like, here's where the lawyers all put their heads together and we're like talking about Blanche and eating off that delicious salad bar. So, but that's all I got for us this week.
Well, that was a good one, Susan. Thank you. I'm going to be excited to find another one. It's going to be hard to follow that one, but we'll find another interesting one.
So my next one, I already know what it is. And I'm from Cincinnati, so I'm going that way.
You're going to go back home for that one.
I'm going to take you home.
Okay.
Take you home. And this one actually has a little bit of a connection to my family.
Ooh, that's a good one, just Susan. I love the interest.
Thanks for joining us on Empty Nesters True Crime Podcast, where we've delved into chilling mysteries and dark secrets. With their nest now empty, Susan and Nancy will keep uncovering the truth and venturing into the unknown. Until next time, stay safe and step into the shadows with us again.